Game of Microphones is brought to you by CMG Podcasts. What you are about to hear is a hyper-condensed version of Game of Microphones episode 110, covering the Game of Thrones Season 8 premiere, Winterfell. Comprised of highlights and bloopers from our full episode, clips are out of context and may be out of sequence. For the full episode, go to gameofmicrophones.com or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Spoilers ahead.
What do dragons eat, anyway?
Whatever they want.
And now, from the crypts of Winterfell, it's your favorite podcast of Thrones, Game of Microphones, with Sir Duncan and Lady Rachel. Winter is here.
Joining us today is a special guest, Lord Matt of House Christensen, champion of liberty.
What was this at the wall? What was this, like, thing of dismembered body parts and the screaming
the
kid?
spiral.
Like, that freaked me out when that thing started screaming and they lit it on fire.
The opening scene with little Ned Umber
Nice.
running through the forest, and I kind of dubbed it the flashback that's not a flashback.
Right, it was so cool how they totally mirrored that pilot episode scene.
They even have the Baratheon music playing.
I know, I noticed that too.
I
What
was
the hell?
like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So,
The graphics on the intro, to me, I've never really looked that deep into the subtleties of them to try to interpret them. But
Yeah,
for
same
me,
here.
it's like, as long as that intro music doesn't change, I don't care.
Right, yeah.
As long as that stays the same, because it hits just as good as Star Wars or anything else does. And it, as far as setting the stage for any show or movie experience, Game of Thrones is up there. You wonder what it would be like if it had some lame, crappy song,
Yeah.
you know, or just like ruined the vibe. But yeah, I actually just found online the other day, randomly browsing around, but I found a little music box, like little manufactured music boxes, and you crank it and it's the Game of Thrones theme and little chimes.
Sick.
I'm waiting for that to come in the mail.
Nice.
Just because, you know, when the show's not on anymore, I'll have that in the future as a mantelpiece or something.
I noticed that
it's my alarm clock in the morning.
Oh man, I might have to do that.
Sansa needs to get that stick out of her ass. That's, I mean, like, I love Sansa. She's been growing on me as a character, but my God, this episode, I just kind of wanted to slap her and just be like, open up a little bit.
It just-
This Torrhen
Stark, yeah, he knelt to a Targaryen, to Aegon the Conqueror. So it's like a sort of history repeating itself. Finally, the Northern Kingdom gets its own autonomy and sovereignty, and then all of a sudden, this foreign ruler comes in with dragons and is like, "Fuck all you guys, we're taking us back." You know, like, so it makes sense for them to be real fucking
For
mad.
Sansa too, it'd be, as far as I recall, I don't remember her providing a better plan. Maybe I missed that. That's kind of what's annoying, is like, I get where you're coming from, but
Right.
You're right. It's a bad plan. What's your plan?
unless you have even the part in this episode where she's kind of bitter, like, well, I didn't plan to feed these armies, and what do dragons even eat? Like, well, good problem to have that you have dragons.
Right.
We'll figure out how to feed them. Well, of all the things I love about the show, it's like, I mean, nobody's safe in Game of Thrones, so that's the best part. The people you love might die. The people, but every death is so emotionally involved, because you have cases like Joffrey, where you've been waiting for it forever, and it's the best. It delivers. You get to see his weird purple stupid face, and then every other character that you love, that you're so emotionally invested in, you can't believe they kill off, like Ned Stark in the first season.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, I don't
Fantasy,
even know.
medieval.
Kings and queens and dragons and all that's never been my thing. So I always thought, like, that's some nerd crap. But then
Same here,
I
man.
had some people tell me to get into it. So I actually did not watch it until the end of season 7.
Oh,
And I
wow.
watched
Season
it,
7.
yeah.
Damn.
And the first episode of Game of Thrones is like such a punch in the face that it's like, okay, really? Because I had no spoilers. I mean, I knew there was like, I knew that incest was a thing in the show and stuff, but I guess I just didn't expect such immediate exposure to such adult themes. Let's put it that way.
Hilarious.
Shock value for
Unbelievable.
sure.
And so I was like, all right, I mean, okay, I can get into this. When you binge it the way I did, when you want to know the answer to what happens, you have that immediate gratification.
Yep.
Now,
Oh my God.
now I'm watching it in the same, everybody who watches week by week. It's like, I'm really thirsty
I couldn't
for
sleep
these
last
answers.
night.
Welcome
I
to
watched
the
it
club.
twice last night.
Oh, you watched it through twice.
I did. I watched it with my husband, and he called out some things. Like, he immediately called out who Bran was waiting for.
Oh,
And I
nice.
was like, oh my God.
That was so
crazy.
cool. I was
Yeah.
like, an old friend, huh? I wonder what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Should have known. It's so obvious.
My husband said, he goes, they need a little bit of happiness, because I think there's going to be a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of main characters are going to get killed
Sure.
off. So I
Bring
think
it on.
we as an audience may look back on this episode as a fond, like, farewell to these
Yeah, yeah.
characters.
Yeah, but that was also why that was cool. There's pretty much no Jaime Lannister until he shows up and just has this kind of eye glance back and forth with Bran Stark.
Epic stare down, too. Like,
Yeah.
oh my, and the look on
Nikolai
Jaime's face.
Coster-Waldau, oh my God, he
What a
played that so
performance
well.
there. Wow. I was
Yeah.
amazed at all the emotion that he was managing to capture with just that stare. And the moment where he like turns around and pulls his hood off, it sort of reminded me of the reveal of Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 7 right at the end. He turns around with a hood and does the same thing. Maybe it was a slight homage to that. That's one thing we like doing, is pointing out homages to other shows and movies that we can find.
Is that common in Game of Thrones? I guess I haven't noticed a ton of them, but as I said, I'm not the biggest movie buff to know what might be a nod and what wouldn't be.
Yeah, there's been a bunch. Yeah, definitely. Like there was one where Stannis tells Jon. Jon tells Stannis, "I was told to keep your enemies close." And Stannis is like, he's like, whoever said that didn't have many enemies. So that's like a Godfather reference. Keep your friends close, your enemies closer.
Oh, I see.
I was listening to Game of Microphones because my son likes to listen to it, but he's 2.5 and he's picking up on all the cuss words that we use. So
Oh, no.
I had to kind of
mommy.
Yeah.
That guy's a cunt.
And Nikolai Coster-Waldau just nailed it. I mean, absolutely nailed that performance. He's just kind of scanning Winterfell. It's been almost a decade, or, I guess in our world, it's been almost a decade since he's been to Winterfell, but he's kind of looking around and
Smiling. He was smiling when he left around Winterfell.
Yeah. He's probably having, memories. And then he scans over and there's this creeper sitting in a wheelchair, like just still as
staring at him.
bored. Staring at him. Bran was creeping a lot in this episode.
So many, like looking up at Tyrion too, and he was standing on the second story after talking with Sansa.
Yes.
Bran is he's a great creeper, dude. He's got creeping
I
down.
Creep like Bran.
Lurk like Arya, creep like Bran. Dude,
I like it.
That's great. So what happens after the Battle of Winterfell? Does Winterfell fall and they're forced to retreat to King's Landing, and that's what
I think
happens
they're going
next?
to be forced to retreat to the Iron Islands.
Oh, the Iron Islands. Ooh, how about the Eyrie? Oh, that would make sense.
I would
Sansa
be
has
concerned
connections
about
there.
The Eyrie
Oh, the dragons.
The dragon.
But the Iron Islands also.
Yeah, but the army of the dead can't swim.
Well, that doesn't mean they can't walk on the ocean floor and all come walking out together. I think that's
Oh
like
my
a
God.
red herring, like, they specifically asked it. Euron was like, can they swim? And John's like, no. So they baited
That's a
us.
new one.
They baited us into thinking islands are safe. But there's all the those lines from the books. What is it? Patchface says something about dead things in the water and stuff like that. So,
oh my God, like that song.
yeah.
The
There's
snow
it's
falls
always
up
summer under the sea. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
So it's entirely
no one's
possible.
safe.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that we could have the fucking army of the dead come marching out of the water and just take everybody by surprise.
I am. That would be such a mind fuck for me, because I feel like I want there to be some safety. Like,
There's no safety.
okay, Oh my God, my door just slammed shut, scared the shit out of me.
Outtake bloopers.
I have my window open. And it shut my door. And I'm home alone,
man.
so I totally freaked out.
This is going to be fun doing video with the bloopers and outtakes and stuff. People will be able to see how they're like cut together and stuff.
Oh shit. So, and you know, Sansa being the lady of Winterfell now, she's lurking somewhere.
Lurking.
You know, like who
Love
knows
it.
where Arya is? She's always lurking.
And she is
You have a
too.
lurker and a creeper.
And a brooder or moper would be John, right?
Yeah, totally.
Bronn being hired to kill Jaime and Tyrion.
What the fuck?
Dude?
Bronn the
my
betrayer.
God. Yeah, well, he hasn't done it yet.
Well, not sure. Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm jumping to conclusions, but
This may be the seeds of his undoing, though.
I didn't recognize the other two, but I recognized her because she's in the orgy scene.
I may have been looking at other things besides their faces.
Okay, well, you can look. I'm not going to look at that 'cause that's weird.
I was concerned because Sam had just found out the truth about the toasted Tarleys, you know, the toasted Tarley truth. And
It's just like, I think it's going to be a really tough pill to swallow for Dany. It's really tough for John, obviously, which we get in this scene, but I think she is not going to take it very well.
oh my God, I'm so nervous.
And so
Fuck you, HBO.
Mind blown. Little moments here and there. We'll
Like
get
Ned
to like,
Umber popping his head out.
oh, that was so cute. He's like, hmm?
Yeah. Or the montage of guys getting crossbowed in the head when Theon attacks the boat.
And the eunuch joke, which is like what we start out the episode with. That's the
it's so
first
funny.
line of the whole episode. So Sam falls down the crypt steps.
I couldn't believe that. That was so cool.
John's like,
Loved that.
what the fuck was that? And you hear, oh. And he's like trying to get
Yeah,
up.
we
and-
got lots of good Sam, like, ohs, and like, oh, mice, and things like that this episode. Like when he almost gets hit by that horse and carriage right after he finds out the toasted Tarley truth and is walking down the steps. He's like, oh, like freaks out. Oh,
So,
something, yeah.
Massima, something like that. Yeah.
And she fucking,
please.
she had Dario lop his head off in front of the crowd. And remember they all reacted hissing at her. Oh, that was creepy. I Yeah, it was funny too. Right when he says your mother was Lyanna Stark, John kind of goes as if like, yeah, right, like
they hooked up, like Ned and Lyanna hooked up.
I didn't even think about it that way, but just like oh, you guys are like conspiracy theorizing about like for some reason alternate John origin theories. He's like, we know I'm a bastard. My dad's Ned. Like, what are you talking about, right?
Like, what would your reaction be to that? Like,
He stumbles
my
backwards.
parents aren't my parents. Okay, whatever. But I'm not Jon Snow. I'm
I'm Aegon
my first
Targaryen.
name, like I'm not even Jon Targaryen.
Like, he literally
I'm
knows.
Aegon
And
Targaryen.
this is that moment where I talked about where like we have the theme of Jon Snow knows nothing. And this is how we learn here how little he really knows. Like he literally knows nothing, even about himself. You know, he doesn't even know his name. And this is Jon Snow knows nothing. And plus the whole Jon Snow, John Doe type thing, where like you use John Doe as a placeholder for a name when you don't know the identity of a victim of a crime, for instance. So it's perfect, knowing nothing, and also the John Doe hint, like combining those two together. Like I don't know. It's just so funny seeing him learn the truth and realize how little he knows about everything.
I'm just waiting for Cersei to die. That's all I really want in life.
So Matt mentioned earlier, like these big deaths that we wait seasons for, and how like we get to finally the purple wedding and Joffrey gets killed, and we're all like, yeah. Like, and so are we going to get that moment for Cersei? Are we going to get that, or is she going to live? You know what I mean? Like, are we going to get it?
And I thought to myself, she's talking about executing people. And the next scene we get was Bronn.
Don't do it, Cersei.
Dude, you can make eunuch jokes, but no one else can make dork jokes. Like, why is that?
Because I still have my balls.
I have balls.
And you don't. Yeah, that was great. So like basically it's just saying like it sucks when somebody's making fun of you for something, but
yeah, it's okay. Like, feel free. We're not here to like roast you alive. We're just here to save your lives. So I think that also might be the reason why she smiles a little bit here. It's just nice mug
right
there to the others. That's awesome. I would love to like cosplay Sansa, but I'm not sure I could do that resting bitch face like she does.
And
look at you.
Yeah, you're a man. Almost. I'm almost a man, but I am partly a three-eyed raven computer, you know.
Download data.
She calls Lord Umber, who pops his head out. Another little comedic moment in this episode.
And they all kind of like nod, like, it's okay. You know, you can have as many wagons and stuff as we can spare. Just hurry back to the last hearth so you can get murdered.
Yeah, fuck.
So the first time I watch it through, I just watch it with my natural, like where my eye goes. And then wherever my eye doesn't go, the second time I watch it is where I try to force my eye to go the other places that I'm not paying attention to the first watch. So the second time I watched it, I look in the background, like who's behind the scenes, who's behind, who are we seeing, like what's kind of happening, what's going on around what the camera is focusing on, because like that's where like last episode I talked about Varys being like a comedic factor in the big meeting. He's really not an upfront person, and if you're just watching the people that are in focus on the camera, you would miss his reactions. So I do like trying to pay attention to the what's going on behind the main character.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. We have the biggest, most powerful army the world has ever seen showing up to have your backs, guys. Like, be cool with that because it's super cool of us to do. Don't forget that you're in the family too. That was the most shocking moment for me. This was the most badass moment for me. You know, where Dany is just like, dragons eat whatever the fuck they want. You should know that.
Like,
you know, what did you didn't get the memo?
Snarky little bitch.
Yeah, like we'll devour you if we want to.
You know what? If you don't want our help, I'll just take them all home. And you.
Gendry's a smith. He's now forging dragon glass. I was thinking maybe he's going to do some experimenting and try mixing steel and dragon glass together to forge dragon steel, maybe like a modern iteration of dragon steel. So instead of like outright apologizing, she kind of apologizes by saying like, we both survived though, you know, like, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
let bygones be bygones.
Oh, I thought it was interesting too that the fact that she thought that he was the most clever man alive was interesting to me. Like that means that she considered him in high regard. You know, that's what that says to me. So that says to me that means that he could prove that he is, you know, one of the most clever men alive by redeeming himself and doing something awesome. And that makes me think that these two have the potential of actually getting together for real at some point.
Oh shit! Well, because Dany's off the radar now because she's with Jon, and Tyrion saw that happen. I mean, he was in the boat with her and watched Jon go in. So maybe he's turning his sights back to Sansa.
Maybe like the two leaders would be together. Then the two of like the closest advisors would be together.
Yeah. Be quite a little powerhouse.
It would certainly be a way to help unite the North. I mean, the Northern Lords have come to trust Sansa after everything that's happened and how she stood up for them and been there and helped get Winterfell back and everything. So maybe her being like, listen, you know, I trust Tyrion. That could go a long way
Or
with
I'm
the
going to
Northern
marry
Lords.
him again.
Yeah, that could go a long way with the Northern Lords to bring the North and the South together to unite them. And we see like the wheel in the view, and then looking right past the wheel to Jaime, and we see him like react and see Bran sitting there. I thought it was just a really great
Does
shot.
like a double take. He's like,
yeah.
what?
What?
I have terrible news.
Terrible news.
The dead have broken through the wall.
And Cersei's
like, good?
Yeah, and
what the fuck is wrong with you?
And even Qyburn seemed shocked by this reaction from Cersei, because even he had said it was terrible news. So if Qyburn even is like, whoa, it's got to be something fucked up, right?
Yeah, why don't you just get it over with and kill me? And he's like, no, we're family. We're the last Greyjoys without any ball, or with balls.
Plus, who would I have to talk to? And she's like, you're an idiot, man. You picked the fucking losing side with that dumbass queen.
Then I'll bail and sail the Iron Fleet somewhere else. Yeah. But first, I'm going to fuck the queen. And I thought that was kind of maybe reading between the lines, like, well, I'm gonna sail to the Iron Fleet somewhere else after I fuck her over.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck her, and then I'm gonna fuck her over.
He's gonna fuck her, and then he's gonna fuck her over and leave.
Love it. That's
so that's
awesome.
what I kind of took it as. Did you see Captain Strickland's face? He just shakes his head. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Love it.
Really wanted those elephants.
Yeah, totally. Because we were like, we want the dragons, we want the elephants, we want the pack of wolves and the dire wolves, and we want all this cool stuff. We just give it to us all. Krakens, unleash the hounds, everything.
Totally.
Ice spiders, undead mammoths, giants. We want everything.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. So next, it's after they just had sex, Euron and Cersei. We see the deed is done.
Those elephants.
Yeah, and then he's insulting Robert. Hey, how did I compare to that fat king?
Freak! Who cares how you compare?
He's just being wild, and then he's asking about how do I compare to Jaime? I know you guys have been doing it.
That's really what he wants to know.
Yeah, he's just leading into it.
So we cut over to the bow and arrow. That's right. I was going to say Theon has his bow again. He, like you said last episode. Oh my God,
that's a big symbol. Theon with a bow.
He was an expert
he was a hot
marksman.
Shot. He was a hot shot with a bow.
He's getting kind of back into his role of Theon Greyjoy.
Remember when he saved Bran?
Yeah.
And Robb was like, yeah, he shot that guy
my brother.
Yeah, but Theon's an expert and he knew it, So the fact that Theon is holding a bow again, that symbolizes that Theon Greyjoy is back. It's not somebody else. This is Theon. And he that door kicks open and the guy falls in, and Yara looks up in astonishment. Last thing on earth she would ever imagine.
And she's kind of pissed, obviously, because she headshots him in the face once he sets her free.
Loved it. But then immediately, it's like Stannis, cut your knuckles off for your smuggling, but he'll raise you to be a lord for helping him out.
Damn it, you fucked me over, but I still love you.
But now you're making up for it. And Dany hops on, and she's like, "Come on."
Come on, let's go. And he's like, I don't know how to ride a dragon. She's like, dude,
Nobody
you were just riding me last night, so I don't know what the problem is. Oh.
Heyo. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
This is cool. Oh, it was funny that it took off so quick, because it reminded me of this time where I was sitting on a motorcycle, on a little motorized scooter, ring, 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 revving it up, and my friend's dad flicked it into gear, and it launched out from under me. I had to bail off it. That was pretty funny. You've completely ruined horses for me. And it made me think, ooh, dragons are the bacon of rideable animals. There's some commercial that's like, never add bacon to food. It will just ruin all food.
It ruins all food.
That doesn't have bacon forever. And then they say Hulu is the bacon of TV or something like that. I don't know. So dragons are like the bacon of rideable animals, basically. And so naturally, it's cool that she showed him the Valyrian steel, because he's a smith and he's got to appreciate that. But also showing him the Valyrian steel, I think, may trigger to him ooh, maybe I can make some special steel with the dragon glass.
Oh, maybe. You might be onto something there.
It may not be a coincidence that Valyrian steel is mentioned during the scene where we see the dragon glass being smelted. You know what I mean?
Spirals in our world, it's you can teleport through them. it's so hard to like, there's so many like symbolic reasons to bring in spirals to this world, but we know that they mean something. We know that they're a form of like communication or, you know, like writing or scribing. So what it means, I was really trying to figure it out. There are 8 arms to that spiral.
Ooh, interesting. It was very remindful to me of the Targaryen sigil as well, with like the sort of spiral shaped of the dragons.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And that to me was like, I was like, oh shit, is that foreshadowing some type of connection between Dany and the Night King? And then I was like, oh man, maybe Dany gets turned into the Night Queen. What if the Night King, like if they're having a dragon battle or something and Dany gets knocked off her dragon and the Night King like approaches her and just touches her on the forehead and she turns into a fucking White Walker. How crazy. That would be big surprise, right?
Yeah, huge. Gender specific. Gender specific.
Classic. Pox will have her by the ear.
Which girl?
I can't wait to watch it again. The best acted scenes, hands down, just being... Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm going to imagine the ginger soldier with his face half burnt off is Ed Sheeran. Check out this next level Game of Thrones rap by Purpose from the hip-hop group Tragic Allies. This is from his new album, The Iron Throne of Microphones.
One of my wrath, Lord Stark. You should have taken the realm for yourself. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
War of the 5 kings, all making claims of their own. 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies making a throne. Fight for the 7 kingdoms, fortune favors the bold. Bravest of souls, battling to gain the control. Baratheon brothers are at each other's throat for the merit. King Joffrey thinking hellish, hoping both of them perish. The young wolf marches on the south, fighting with hatred. While Greyjoy sailing north, which is right for the taking. And now that King Robert's dead, the truth spreading rapidly. Joffrey born of incest and infested travesties. Stannis bearing arms now his claim is his majesty. Naturally, anyone opposing is a casualty, including his own brother, whose fallacy is blasphemy. Vanity cannot replace valiancy as tragedy. Tactfully, will Renly casually prepare for battle. The Red Priestess plans quickly started to unravel. Smuggled on a boat that Sir Davos had to paddle to a cove near Renly's camp where both of them would travel. Melisandre undressed and sat up on the gravel where she gave birth into a shadow right in front of Davos. The creature's appearance very similar to Stannis. Crawled out her womb and presumed to just vanish. Advantage to the sorceress, enforcement of a death.
The night is dark, full of terror.
Let us not forget, the shadow was moving calmer. The breeze from out the harbor headed right into the tent where Renly's taking off his armor. While looking in the mirror, he was taken by surprise. The shadow of his brother came to hasten his demise. Ravens fly, word spreads to every castle. Meanwhile, Robb Stark is winning every battle. The young wolf triumphant in the Westerlands and Riverlands. Independence from the south has always been the bigger plan, but ignorance was overdosed with a broken oath for a daughter whom now all afraid hoped elope. In an omen spoke by Lord Rickard Karstark, the curse of a kinslayer did play a large part to lost bannermen and lost allegiances. Getting even is fulfillment for some grievances, with Robb's army weakening and marching back to River Run, searching for some answers, but the answer is there isn't one. And so he's forced to make a choice by begging for forgiveness. Confront the phrase, admit his faults in front of all the witness, but Water phrase ambitious and vicious with his moves. His allegiance ain't consistent cause it switches with his mood. Unfortunate but true, the consequence was sad and deadly for the young wolf whose confidence was cracked. Lured into a trap without detecting a deception. Welcomed by the phrase and even offered full protection. A wedding and reception extended all the guest rights so no one would expect it and accept it as a blessed night. The wine would flow red, the music playing loud. Without a shroud, the killers blending in within the crowd. Waiting on a signal when to act upon her scheme. Walter makes a scene and offers gifts unto the queen. A knife to her belly with a baby as the passenger. And King Robb slain at the Red Wedding Massacre.
Rosalind caught a fine fat trout. Her brothers gave her a pair of wolf pelts for her wedding. Signed, Walder Frey. Is that bad poetry, or is it supposed to mean something?
Robb Stark is dead.
Mother.
Oh, I know. Walder Frey gets all the credit. Or the blame, I suppose, depending on your allegiance.
Never would have risked such an action if you didn't have certain assurances.
What you got from me? Do you disapprove?
I'm all for cheating. This is war. To slaughter them at a wedding.
Explain to me why it is more noble to kill 10,000 men in battle than a dozen at dinner.
All right, that's our show, episode 110. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, guys. We love you.
Yeah, and a huge thank you to Lord Matt of House Christensen, Champion of Liberty, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, Lord Matt. We were so happy to talk to you today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, definitely. And another huge thanks to John Bailey, the epic voice guy from the Emmy-nominated Honest Trailers, for announcing our show. If you'd like to donate or subscribe to support us, you can go to paypal.me/GOMpodcast or patreon.com/GOMpodcast to donate an amount of your choosing. There are links to both at gameofmicrophones.com.
Doing some online shopping? Go to gameofmicrophones.com and click on our link to Amazon. As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases.
Any contribution you make helps, and you can help secure the continued existence of GOM. We'd like to thank our patrons, Sir Matthew of House Repp, Lady Lucy of House Roberts, Lady Candace of House Tews, Lady Teri of House Theodore, Lord Jeff of House Allen, Sirenicide, Lord John of House Grilz, Lord Jeremiah of House Carpenter, and Luke, Low Duke. We love you guys and appreciate your patronage. And we'd also like to send out an additional thanks to Lord Bryson of House Wolf and to Tarot Spirit. Thank you for your donations.
Yes, thank you, guys. We love you.
And make sure to check out Sirenicide, the serialized horror drama podcast featuring me and Archmaester Stitches. Just go to sirenicide.com and download it wherever you get your podcasts.
We also want to give a huge thank you to Lady Lisa of House Sky, Pie Romancer. She has been epic behind the scenes in getting our website, Game of Microphones, up and running. She's a next level artist, you guys. You have to check out her amazingly illustrated book, The People You May See. It's one of my son's favorite books. It's available now on Amazon.com, and it's Prime eligible too.
And I also have one of her pieces of artwork over here.
Oh yes, I'm so
Drogon
jealous.
that she did.
So badass.
Thank you, Lady Lisa.
You can check all of her work out at fineartsbylisa.com. She's also on Instagram and Facebook /fineartsbylisa.
Next episode, we'll be covering Season 8, Episode 2, the name of which is still unknown. Give it a watch and send us your thoughts. We'd love to read them on the air. If you'd like to call, you can call us at 813-563-3739. That's 813-JOFFREY.
If you would like to write in, you can email us at ravens@gameofmicrophones.com.
Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/GOMpodcast.
Imslap!
Oh!
You can also listen to Game of Microphones on YouTube, BitChute, and Steemit. Just search for Game of Microphones to find our channel. Likes, comments, and shares are greatly appreciated.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Gab, and Minds at GOM Podcast.
And we're on Tumblr too at Game of Microphones.
All right, that's our show.
Thanks for listening. May I ask, how are we meant to feed the greatest army the world has ever seen? While I ensured our stores would last through the winter, I didn't account for Dothraki, Unsullied, and 2 full-grown dragons. What do dragons eat anyways?
Whatever they want.
I've traveled to a bunch of random places and random countries. But as a Midwestern guy, I recently have been falling in love with what the more rugged parts of America have to offer to all of us before they're gone. TEA MAGE Productions and Powers Media House presents Beautiful America, a musical documentary series with all original content. Explore the Southwest of America and indulge in some places you've heard of and plenty more that you certainly have not. Cooking under the stars in below freezing temps of Death Valley. 4K drone footage of one of the most insane monoliths on Earth. Driving in abandoned mines, cliffs, canyons, and wild times. Check it out. TEA MAGE Productions on Facebook and YouTube. That's TEA MAGE Productions. Beautiful America.